this lecture, we're going to talk about questioning. It's important to note that simply asking questions first will not facilitate engagement with text. We have to ask challenging, text-dependent questions. These are questions where the answers are not obvious, and they require students to gather evidence or clues from the text in order to infer an answer or response. Questions can be labeled in many different ways, but for consistency's sake, we're going to discuss 3 types of questions. The first type of question is called a type 1 or literal question. In kid-friendly terms, we call that a right there question. The answer is in the text, it's explicit, it's a fact, it's fully and clearly expressed, leaving nothing implied. For example, when we're thinking about the famous story about Cinderella, the question might be, what are Cinderella's shoes made of? We don't have to think to answer that question. We just have to find it in the text. These types of questions do not require much cognitive energy. The next 2 types are type 2 and type 3 questions. These are the most challenging questions for students to answer. Type 2 or inferential questions, in student-friendly terms, are called book in my brain questions. These are questions that are implicit or what is implied. They involve analysis, they ask how and why, they require analysis of the text, reading between the lines, hidden meaning. So really what's happening is that the answer is understood though not directly expressed. So for example, again, returning to the Cinderella story, a question there might be, why don't Cinderella's stepsisters like her? To figure that out, you really have to look for clues across the text to figure out why those sisters don't like her. It never says explicitly why. The next type, type 3, those are called extension questions, and in student terms, we call those on my own. These types of questions go beyond the text and inquire into the value, importance, and application of the information presented. For example, in Cinderella we can ask, does a woman's salvation always lie with a man? As you can see, these questions are really challenging. Surprisingly, many students do not realize that different questions require learners to use different strategies. Struggling readers assume that if they cannot easily find the answer to type 2 and 3 questions, it is simply because they are dumb. Because of this, we have to explicitly teach students strategies for inferring information. Essentially, we need to show them how to find clues and think in order to formulate a response. In the next section, we will discuss the basic strategy to help students to cope with type 2 and type 3 questions.